Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty, season number 2 on HBO and streaming on Max. And of course, we have executive producer, director, and Chicago's own Salli Richardson-Whitfield here to chat all about the new season. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Yeah, Chicago.
We got to celebrate the Chicago Bulls dynasty in the 90s, but the 80s, I mean, that was all about the Lakers. Tell us a little bit about the second season.
Well, this second season, the first season we kind of set up things, but this season we really get to jump into more of that Magic and Larry Bird rivalry. We get to learn a little bit more about Bird, which I think makes, that rivalry more interesting. We see more about Bus and his family dynamics and his kids fighting for his attention. We see Magic's life. And, once you win a championship, everyone's coming for you that next year. So it's, how do you stay on top? It's a fun year.
And of course, too, this is a time before social media. So people weren't tagging each other. You weren't seeing the behind the scenes of their family life, what was going on. So this is really gives you an inside look that we've never seen before.
Yeah, and again, I think that's what makes Winning Time so interesting. You've only seen some of this stuff like on YouTube or maybe been able to read a book, and people want to know what were Magic and Larry saying when they're on the court together. What's happening in the huddle? Now you can see that every day.
Like it's 2023, Barbie and Oppenheimer, was a big winning thing for movie theaters and for movie fans. And Beyonce and Taylor Swift, obviously a big win for concert fans because it brought people into the venues. Talk a little bit about what Larry Bird and Magic Johnson did for basketball at that time.
Well, honestly, I don't think until Magic really came up and he got sort of this mega deal, basketball wasn't that exciting. And Jerry Buss turned that Showtime basketball is what basketball is now. This is when basketball really took off and the NBA got big. So you get to see what were the seeds of that, and now we know what it grew into. So it's exciting stuff to really see how the NBA started.
You've talked about playing basketball in high school, and obviously that took place in Chicago. But this was about the time that you were graduating from school. I mean, what does it feel like? Does it feel like a full circle moment to be a part of this project at the same time that maybe you were playing basketball?
Definitely. I mean, I remember some of this as a kid watching. Of course, when you're living it, you don't know as much. But when I jumped into Jeff Pearlman's book, that is really what sparked the excitement. The book was so interesting, and there were so many things I never knew about. And it really, this season, we're able to explore more of the things in his book.
As far as the showmanship in basketball, obviously the game has changed from the 80s to now. Talk a little bit about shooting it, because some of the, holding onto the rim, some of the, the ways that the players move now is a little different than what we did in the 80s.
Absolutely. And you got to remind the guys that all the time. You come up, I'm like, that was a fantastic dunk, but I need you not to hang on the rim. Or some of the, just some of the ball handling, it's different. So, and that's what our basketball choreographer works on, to really make sure we are doing 80s basketball. And then as the years progress, okay, now we can go into this. Did they do high fives back then? No, they didn't, or now they are. So we're very particular about it. And we study that old footage, we want to, how do we recreate that footage as closely as possible and then jump in there with some of the more modern techniques to make it, to make it more fun. You don't want to just feel like you're watching YouTube footage. How can we make a little, special sauce on there?
There you go. That's exactly what you're doing. Your time in Chicago, do you still have family here? Do you come back to visit often?
Oh yeah, my mother and father are still there, my brothers. So I'm always home for at least once a year. I'm always there. I love my Chicago.
Because there's no better time in Chicago, because obviously the weather is better in other parts of the country, but we really like our summers are the time that we go out, we go do the things. What's your favorite memory, or when you come back here, the thing you have to do in Chicago during summertime?
Well, I always remember Taste of Chicago, but for me, growing up in Hyde Park, I remember, going to the point and jumping off the rocks and swimming in Lake Michigan. I don't think people understand that we go to the beach and we swim in Lake Michigan. I think those are the memories that I remember the most.
Awesome. Well, Salli, thank you so much for your time today. Again, Winning Time, The Rise of the Lakers Dynasty, season number 2, coming to us on August 6th on HBO and streaming on Max as well. And we'll see you in Chicago very soon.
Okay, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.